Good day everyone. So in the previous video we looked at Baizhu in terms of his role in more traditional teams, but now we're going to look at what he can provide us with the more modern teams, including Farina and Neuvillette. So on paper this is supposed to be really good. You have the party-wide heal, the shield, and the active healing for the character on the field, in this case Neuvillette, which works out really nicely because Neuvillette keeps on draining his own HP, but Baizhu helps like keep it up, which means we generate more and more fanfare stacks. Baizhu himself has got very quick animation, so you just use a tap EQ and then that's it. You have the full utility that you need from him, including being able to apply Dendron to the enemies, which our official here can help us in triggering a couple of additional Hyper Bloom cores. Obviously not the focus of this team, but certainly just giving us that extra bit of a damage bump up. So what's really cool about this team here is that you don't really need to worry about things like damage reduction or dying early. A lot of people seem to have this idea that if you take any amount of HP or damage, then somehow things are going badly. But this is exactly what Baizhu goes kind of like against the grain with, because in Fontaine you are encouraged to have HP changes. You're encouraged not to play at full health, and being able to cleverly manage this so that you have enough health to comfortably survive, but also managing your health in such a way to increase your fanfare stacks and take advantage of some of the artifact or weapon passives. That's really how the game is sort of changing, and that's really what I like about what Baizhu provides. He gives you the facility to slot into this very quickly. So when Baizhu released, you can understand why a lot of people didn't see that much of a need for him, but here in with Fontaine characters, I do find that his skills perfectly complement so far what we have. And I've also seen that in like extreme speed runnings where you've only got like C6 Baizhu and C6 Neuvillette, the fact that Baizhu himself can just generate a shield without his elemental burst really does then become quite a bit bonkers, because just that little bit of extra healing and stuff that you can get, well, that's just going to be with C2 Furina just going to instantly get you your fanfare stacks. But here at C0 it's obviously going to be a bit slower, but that is what Baizhu is so good at also providing us. Now if you are to play this team, you can see here in the background that there is generally a bit of a philosophy to doing it. So I use Neuvillette's E ability, generate the source water droplets, because I don't immediately need them. I'm going to use them at the point when I'm starting to generate more fanfare stacks and when I want to do DPS, but at that point I've already gotten my cooldown back, which means I can focus quite a lot on just getting that full damage window out with Neuvillette. So in this case your damage window is not front loaded as much, but it's very later. It happens quite a bit later on in terms of your rotation, but it is really important. It's a quite an important technique to first put down the source water droplets and then flexibly play around it. So this is when you've got all of your other characters now being off cooldown or on cooldown, so that you're waiting for their skills to come back up, but this is now where you just use Neuvillette and you have him on field while everything else is sticking. And the complement of how Baizhu plays into this just works really nicely. Now we have enemies here that don't just allow you to do the traditional, oh, play this rotation over and over. Sometimes you've just got to adapt it and play around it. One common mistake that I think a lot of people will make here is to try and just force Neuvillette to be on the field too much, but if you play around his cooldowns, you'll find that you can still get like a bit of damage in here from, let's say, official or from some of the other characters. Oh, by the way, once again, just a little Kokomi clan special, like we said in the last video, so whilst I'm going to talk about a couple of more things. So on this floor specifically, this floor 12-3 with Neuvillette and Baizhu, one of the other problems you have is that you can't rely on his shield to just like tank the enemy's hits. So the enemies are constantly hitting you. You can see there are a couple of fireballs just like being thrown at you, which means that depending on Baizhu's shield is not a consistent strategy. But what works really well, if you looked at how I played, was the ability to constantly move around with Neuvillette. And even if you do get hit, that's exactly what Baizhu provides you and what we spoke about in the last video. It's just giving you that extra bit of a margin for error. and that is what he is good at. And if you can understand that playstyle, how he provides a lot of off-field value in terms of healing, dendro application and all of that, as well as understanding how he affects the margins with which you're playing, then you're gonna get the most of the character. And this is what makes characters like him and Kokomi very, very interesting, because how you play them, how you use their skills is far more important than just the raw damage number or setting up this massive vaporize or nuke. And that's what I love about these characters. They give you more nuance when it comes to playing, rather than it all just being about pure and raw damage. And you can also see that especially from Baizhu's constellations. In any case, so here we are on the final floor. I thought that going through the little triangle boss and the chicken, it really just doesn't showcase anything. You can see me making a mistake of not keeping my distance. I should have eat Q with Baizhu, so that's just a mechanical mistake. But regardless, it's still going to be very, very comfy. All I need is to be able to attack the enemies, and even if I get one hit periodically here or there, I've got that shield that Baizhu provides. So that is, once again, that little extra bit of margin for safety, or that you get, and that just makes life so much more comfortable. Here you go, we've got the shield up. Now I'm going to set up with the rest of my characters, and here's Neuvillette. So if we do take an accidental hit, it's not the end of the world, it's not going to interrupt us, and it just takes that one little bit of interruption to really ruin a run. But with Baizhu, if you play well, it's not going to be a problem, and there you go, pretty easy. Right, that's it for this review. Works really well, Fontaine characters. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, do let me know, and thanks for watching. Cheers.